Hey, what's going on, guys? It's DK back at you with another video here. It's predicting the three-game CS:GO main slate on Thursday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos talking about NBA, NFL, and esports daily fantasy sports slates. Esports including Call of Duty, League of Legends, and this one, Counter-Strike CS:GO. So with that out of the way, let's jump into it. Before we talk about players and their prices, I just want to apologize for getting this video up so late. I actually traveled back from Chicago here to Michigan. Yeah, obviously I left right after work and was unable to get this video up until just now. So also you'll notice a different background as well, right? I'm not in my normal Chicago apartment back home in Michigan. I don't know if you guys can see the Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton posters in the back. This is still my child or my kid room, I guess you should say, the room I grew up in. All right, let's talk about first, let's look back at the lineup here from Wednesday. So Wednesday, I ended up going with the G2 phase stack. I kind of mentioned that, right? The phase side was the side I really liked. They were extremely hot going into the tournament, and that was a really good series to watch. They won 2-1, but it was so close against the Ninjas in Pajamas. They had two games. One game went to the second game went to triple overtime. I think the third game went to double overtime. Insane matches for sure. My strategy here was I wanted to play a little bit safe with those phase guys, but get a little bit risky with the G2 guys. Now, of course, right when I target some underdogs, all the favorites win today. So that's just how it goes sometimes. DFS very tilting, but again, I really did think G2 had a shot there. They looked really good first map. They had it and they choked. I think they were up 13-8, so they were close to winning first map, and then Astralis came back and I think won every single round there. And the second map, I didn't get to watch it. I was driving back, but I saw they just destroyed G2. So that's unfortunate. But again, if G2 could have pulled that off, right, those top three guys were so cheap. So it was a shot I was willing to take. Again, I didn't hate the Astralis side. It's like the price is a little bit better on the G2 side. And if I was playing just like a strictly a cash game setting, right, I probably would have done just a three-man straw stack, a three-man phase stack. But yeah, for tournaments, I'm always down to get a little bit risky. You can try to get a little bit contrarian here and there. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for me for this time. But again, the ownerships in these guys, right? Nexa was only 18%, Kenny S 30%, Hunter 32%. I'll take that in a three-game slate, right? If they do end up on the winning side, right, it's a huge day, and I get a huge advantage over the field for guys that are low owned. So I'm fine with that. It didn't work out for me this time, but let's talk about some Vegas odds here for the slate. We have Winstrike versus Simon. This one's basically a toss-up. Winstrike are slight favorites at -120. Team Vitality versus Ninjas in Pajamas. Ninjas in Pajamas are also slight favorites at -150. And then G2 versus Heretics. This one should be a good one to watch. I'm excited. G2 are the biggest favorites of the day, but still not huge favorites there at -205. Well, is it -225? They have this game here listed twice. I don't really know what's going on there. But G2 are favorites here. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the first game here. So Simon Gaming versus Winstrike. These are two teams I honestly haven't got to watch a whole lot, so not super familiar. So that's why, again, HLTV.org, again, great place to look at all the stats for all the teams. Again, you can look at how they do on maps. So there's a lot of good info. The recent games, really, like I recommend you guys take advantage of this website for DFS. It really does help when you don't get to watch all these or some of these teams. You're not super familiar. It's always good to be able to do some research here on these guys. So on the Simon Gaming side, they beat Navi, right? Yeah, they beat Navi 2-1. They beat a Spotted 2-1. So this team has had some good wins here. If we're just looking at their KDs, right, and we scroll through their players, no one really stands out as amazing, right? Like Kriaz and Neelan are both negative. Kiaz, and again, I don't know how to pronounce that guy's name. See his numbers in his name. He's at a 1.0 KD. Again, Kiaz a 1.0 KD. Mao's at just above a 1.0 KD. So the issue here is it doesn't seem like there's one guy that really carries this team. So I don't think I want to get to Kriaz. I don't think I want to get to Nyland. Those are, I believe, the two cheapest guys in the team. Yep, at 5.2 and 4.8K. Now, sure, you can look here for value, right? If you want to go with a low-owned stack, this is a game just like that Virtus Pro game that I talked about yesterday. This is going to be a game that's going to be low. You're going to get low ownership of this game for sure. People just aren't as familiar with these teams. But these guys are pretty cheap price tags, right? And if you get like a 2-0 sweep here on the Simon side, and you have either Kriaz or Nealon in there, you're in great shape. But the guys I think that do have the upside are Kiaz Mao, and again, I don't know how to pronounce that guy's name. 7K, 8K, and 8.4K. The issue is just, again, they are kind of more balanced. I guess I would go with the cheapest of the three, which would be Newbridge. I don't know how he's trying to pronounce his name there with numbers. But at 7K, I think he's someone that does stand out probably the most on this team. So that's the way I look there on the Simon side. On the win strike side, it's a little bit different because we know who really does carry this roster. It's Elon here. He has a 1.23 rating 2.0, 0.74 kills per round, 0.54 deaths per round. I like him a lot as a spend up at 9K. Just because, in wins, this guy can put up 70, 80, even 90 fantasy points. So he's someone that, again, that does really stand out for me. If you want to get more of a contrarian spend up, I think Elon here is a guy that is definitely worth it, right? And again, I just don't think he's going to be that high owned. Hobbit at 7.4K is also viable. He is the number 2 on the team. He still has pretty good numbers too. 0.73 kills per round, 0.64 deaths per round, a 1.13 rating 2.0. Everyone else is okay, right? Hovering around 1 there, but really Elon, Hobbit, those are the two guys that stand out for me on this win strike side. So those would be two guys to look to. This game in general, I think just does go lower owned. So I have some interest in those guys for lower ownership plays. Next, we have Ninjas in Pajamas for Vitality. So they just played today. It was a really close game against FaZe, but they ended up taking the loss. Plopsy was a guy I mentioned being my favorite play. He was great. He put up 83 in a loss. His price didn't move at all. Went up $200. I still think Plopsy is my favorite play in this team. And I still think Lurko is my next favorite just because of the price. Now, yeah, he wasn't great, but 50 fantasy points at 5.2K. You'll take that. Now, again, his price did go up to 6.4K, but everyone else's kind of price went up as well. And they're all just, again, a very, very balanced team. I still think Plopsy has the most upside. Probably Lurko would be my second favorite play, but if you want to play one of these guys in the mid-tier and go like a full Ninjas in Pajama stack, that's doable too. I'm just saying, I think my favorite plays once again would be Plopsy, would be Lurko. On the Vitality side, so the big question on this slate is, what are you going to do with Zaiwu? He's really up and down, to be honest. Like, even in wins, sometimes he won't put up big scores. He had that huge game against Fnatic where he had like 150, just completely carried the team. But other than that, it's up and down, right? If we're just looking at his fantasy points, 65, 48, 84, 49, 61, 35, 71, 25. Like, some of these aren't wins, right? That 25 fantasy point game wasn't a 2-1 win. So it's a little bit concerning, right? I just think Zaiwu might be a little bit over-owned on this slate. So for that reason, I could look elsewhere to maybe a guy like Elon, right? Who I just think goes lower owned and he's $600 cheaper. I'm not saying Zaiwu's a bad play. I just think there's not a whole lot of spend ups in the slate, right? We have Naka and then Zaiwu. So I just think for that reason, he might be a little bit more owned than he should be. But that's kind of my thoughts there. Again, he's a little bit up down. Obviously, we know the upside is there, but personally, I might look elsewhere just because I think he's going to be, again, a little bit higher owned than he should. Other players in this roster, so Shox, Apex, Mistu, and RPK. Again, I think I look to RPK there at a 5K price tag. That is pretty cheap. And if you can get the win here, maybe even a 2-0, right? You get that 2-0 bonus, that's 20 fancy points. Then you're looking decent. So as a really cheap value option, if you want to go more of these stars and scrubs build, I think RPK is the guy that does look pretty decent there at that price. And then lastly, the G2 Heretics team. So this is the game that I am super excited to watch. we just had, again, we saw G2 kind of struggle today. They put up a good fight against Strauss map 1. I didn't get to watch map 2, but unfortunately they really struggled there. Now they get a hot up-and-coming team, Heretics. Yeah, I'm really excited to watch this one. I really do think it could go either way. The Vegas odds do have G2 as favorites at -205, but I really do think this could go either way. So I honestly don't know what the ownership is going to be like in this one. I don't know whether it's going to be more on the G2 side or the Heretics side, because both sides have a lot of upside. Both sides, we kind of know where the fantasy production is coming from, right? It's going to be Kenny S, Hunter, a little bit of Nexa. On the Heretic side, we know it's Maka and Navarro, right? And a little bit of Lucky. So that's the good thing. We know those are the guys that are really going to carry these teams. It's just a matter of which side you want to go to. And I think you really even could, if you think this game goes 2-1 and is super close, you could run 1 or 2 players from one team and maybe 1 from the other team. I think that is viable. It's a more contrarian build for sure. Again, on these smaller sites, personally, I like going more of just the 3-3 stacks because if you do get, that 2-0 on that stack, you're in pretty good shape. The chances of like all 3 games going to staying really close and maybe going to overtime are very, very slim, right? So that's why I just think like, personally, like my preferred build is the 3-3 build, but you can get contrarian and mix and match. Maybe go like a 2-2-1-1 or something like that. And these are on the smaller slates. And bigger slates, like 6-game slates, I definitely get 2-2-2 or 3-2-1 or 2-2-1-1. But let's talk about the G2 side, right? So, and they struggled today. This is should be an easier matchup. But Heretics, they're a scary team. Now Kenny S at 8.8K. Besides that last game against the Strauss, has really, really looked good with that AWP. Again, he's been making clutch after clutch. His price is coming up, though. 8.8 does kind of feel like a lot to pay for him. Again, it's just a matter of which side you want to go with. I think this is the game that has the most upside for fantasy scoring, in my opinion, just because we know where the fantasy points are coming from. Yeah, so it's all a matter of which side you want to go with in this one. I think Kenny S, for his price, is maybe a little bit overpriced on his team. I think I prefer a guy like Hunter, a guy like Nexa. For Hunter, $1,200 less. Nexa, almost $2,000 less. And for just looking at fantasy points per game, right? If that's all we're looking at, Kenny S, for the games they have in DraftKings, 66.5. Hunter at 60. Nexa at 62. So they're pretty similar, and you're getting a pretty big discount with Hunter and Nexa. So I think I do prefer Hunter, Nexa to Kenny S if you're going to make me choose those 3 guys at the top. Not saying Kenny S is out of play, right? I just think for their prices, I think Hunter and Nexa do stand out a little bit more. A guy like Jax, a guy like Armanek are interesting value options, right? Jax is a guy that he can get you 50, 60 fancy points at 6.2K. I think that's pretty decent for value if this is the direction you want to go, right? If the G2 stack is the direction you want to go, I could see pairing 1 or 2 of these guys up top and maybe pairing with Jax, right? And lastly, the Heretic side. So, and the reason why I really do think this game has the most upside is because we know where the production is coming from. We know Maka has enormous upside. He has, almost 5 games of 100 fantasy points. He's averaging an insane 85 fantasy points. He's playing out of his mind right now. They give him the AWP. That's obviously more upside for him. I still really like Navarro as well at 7.8K. Personally, once again, I know Maka has been doing a lot better. I like Navarro a little bit better for his price tag. That's not saying I don't like both. I do like both a good amount. That's the way you want to go. But I just think if you're going to make me choose between Maka and Navarro, I'm going to give the edge to Navarro. And I still have interest in Lucky, too, at under 7K. I think he makes for a pretty good mid-tier play, right? Just looking at his fantasy points per game, like 70, 70, and tougher matchups against Gastralis, Ninjas in Pajamas. Still putting up decent games, like 50, low 50s, high 40s, a 64 there against NS. So, again, this Heretic side is very, very intriguing to me. Guys like Kiyoshima, XMS, Kiyoshima's been okay, but I think he's more of a contrarian, cheaper option for me. I don't think he necessarily fits the ideal build. XMS, don't know if I get to him at that price point. And really, Maka, Navarro, and Lucky really do carry this team. And on the G2 side, it's those top 3 guys, Kenny S, Hunter, Nexa. Jax can have a good game here and there for his price as well. But, yeah, I think that's going to do it for the video, guys. So, again, this first game, I think that's the game that you're going to get some low ownership, that Simon Windstrike game. I think, I like the Windstrike side a little bit more just because, Elon, however you pronounce his name, and Hobbit are 2 guys that do really carry that roster, where Simon Gaming maybe a little bit more of a balanced team. So I think I slightly prefer the Windstrike side here. Again, that game in general I think will be low owned. The Ninjas and Pajama side, right, it's still Plopsky for me, my favorite play. Probably followed by Lurko for value. On the Vitality side, again, the big question on the slate is what are you going to do with Zywoo? I'm still a little bit undecided. I'm leaning towards fading right now just because, again, I think he might be a little bit over-owned. Maybe I'll go a pivot, a guy like Alan, or a guy like Maka for a little bit more. That's something I'm very much considering. The other options on this Vitality team, everyone else is pretty similar for just looking at their fantasy points per game, right? 40, 42, 35, 41. So I think RPK for that 5K price tag is a guy that does look probably my next favorite play if you want to look there. If you want to pair him with Zywoo, right, that does kind of make sense if you're going more of the stars and scrubs build. Zywoo is really expensive. You're going to have to play a cheap play. Why not pair him with RPK, right? So that kind of makes sense for roster construction purposes. And then lastly, this G2 Heretics game. This one is the one I'm the most excited about. I think this game has the most upside. I think guessing right in this side in this game is going to be key, right? Or getting the side right. Whoever wins this game, I think, you could see some big numbers. So this is a game I probably want to get a 3-man stack of, whether it be the G2 or the Heretics side. I'm still a little bit undecided. I really do think it could go either way. This Heretics team is up and coming. I really do think they have a lot of upside. This G2 squad as well. I know they struggle against the Straws. That's a really good team. This is the game that I think is key here. And this is a game where, again, I'm probably going to look to get a 3-man stack, whether it be the G2 side or the Heretics side. So I think that is going to do it for the video, guys. If you have been enjoying the content so far, I would really appreciate if you like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. We're closing in, again, 3.2 thousand subscribers. I'll be back for another video to break down the CSGO main slate on Friday. I do apologize for getting this video up so late. But yeah, I hope you guys are all staying safe, staying healthy, and I'll be back for another video on Friday.